Yeah! Welcome to another episode of the Racer X Exhaust podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura, rapidly aging. 65 years of four-stroke exhaust research and development. Yep, they're already eligible for the second tier of Social Security payments. I've been calculating those types of things. You can check them out at yoshimura-rd.com. Anything you need for your dirt bike, your street bike, your ATV, an exhaust system, cool-looking swag, whatever, man. Yoshimura is the brand for you. Or another good brand is Racer X brand, which is our brand, which you can find at racerxbrand.com. We don't sell brands, but we do sell cool shirts and hats and backpacks and stuff like that. So go to racerxbrand.com, get the podcast t-shirt, pay full price for that, please. Everything else you want to order, type in the code EXHAUST in all capital letters. I'll give you 20% off. Do not type in PulpMX for your discount code. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, speaking of PulpMX, I was on the PulpMX show on Monday night. People always confuse all of the hundreds of hours of audio that Steve Matthes puts together. He actually has a radio show on Monday night and then a separate set of podcasts that he does throughout the week. I'm always on a podcast that we do, a race review podcast we do on Sunday night. Well, actually, except for this week, because I was busy doing a TV show with Grant Langston. But I'm always on the race review podcast most weeks. I am actually very rarely on the Monday night PulpMX show, maybe twice a year at best. I am on there. But it is now a tradition, the third week in January, the TV show I have to do on Monday morning, third week of January, myself and Grant Langston announced the Geneva Supercross coming soon to MAV TV. Then, as soon as I'm done, I drive out to Matthes' place out in Vegas to be a guest on his show. But this year, we upped the ante. We brought Phil Nicoletti along. Yep, Phil got dropped off by his super agent, Lucas Myrtle, at Lucas Oil Studios. As soon as I was done with the show, we took off, drove 3.5 hours through the desert. Look, long, deserted desert drives are scary enough. Having Phil depressing you the entire time is a very scary prospect. But I'm doing this for you, folks. I wanted to hand-deliver Phil to Steve so we could be on the Pulp Show together. But I was not going to waste 3.5 hours with a rider without getting some awesome audio of my own out of it. So this week, an hour in the car, in the desert, with Phil Nicoletti. Antidepressants possibly required. But first, let's pump you up. Let's get you thinking positive with this. Podcast. 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 Yeah. Oh, man, it's so good. I've done research. The average podcast intro song is 6 seconds. Mine is 30. I'm just giving you more for your money. Speaking of, subscribe to Racer X Illustrated right now. Everything we put in the magazine is different from everything we have on the web. 100% different. We have to do twice as much work. So please reward us for that. Let us keep the lights on. The magazine is what keeps us going. If you haven't noticed, we don't charge any money for these podcasts. Yeah, I do have a sponsor. That's cool. But the magazine has lots of ads and lots of information. So keep it going, folks. We even have a digital edition available if you want to look at it on your computer or your phone or your tablet, whatever. Issue just came out. We've got a really cool Chad Reed story written by Davey Coombs, a really cool Ryan Sipes story written by me, a really cool Justin Brayton story written by Matthes, kind of jealous, and a story on five-time MotoGP champion Marc Marquez and how he loves motocross, arguably even more than MotoGP. Lots of really cool stuff. So check it out. Latest issue of Racer X. Go to racerxonline.com/subscribe. You should have already done that. We've also got cool freebie stuff every time you subscribe, but I'm not even going to bother. When you look, you'll be intrigued by it. And then we have another issue we just finished. Literally finished today, and I wrote a Yamaha story that I think might be the best thing I've written in years, or maybe ever. So coming to your mailbox. Just subscribe now. So, Filthy Phil in a car for an hour. There were 2.5 hours of conversation that were pure gold, but I didn't record those. Sorry. You know there's a flight that goes straight from Charlotte, North Carolina to South Bend, Indiana. They had not had this flight for several years. It came back online last year. And when you go to the Red Bud National, or if you were flying to Motocross of Nations, the flights on the days where the races were beginning were basically charter flights for the motocross industry. It's a small plane. It's a small flight. Who is randomly flying from Charlotte to South Bend, Indiana in the middle of summer? I mean, that airport only exists for Notre Dame University, and it's summertime. They don't have stuff going on at the university. So these flights, when you go there, it's just Motocross Central. And Phil and I happened to have seats next to each other on the plane when we were going to the National in July. And it's like an hour and 59-minute flight. Everyone on the plane planned on sleeping because it left super early, and Phil and I talked the whole time. And we were so loud that we kept everyone awake. And I thought, man, I had missed out on podcast gold. That's all I was concerned with. So I knew the next time I was on a trip with Phil, we were going to turn it into an interview. And as much as we like to joke about Phil hating everything, you can see that deep, deep down inside, there is a love for actually riding dirt bikes and racing them. And in fact, there might even be a love for racing that is stronger than many other riders, because Phil was dying to get to the races every weekend when he was an amateur growing up, which is more than I think I can say for a lot of the riders now. And Phil will go on a rant about that. Now, there are many other things that we will cover in this podcast, including the flagger controversy. Phil and all his buddies from New Jersey claim they did not remember me. They did not talk to me. They don't think that I was ever a caution flagger at Englishtown, New Jersey's Raceway Park. I was. They don't know this because they didn't talk to flaggers. No one talks to flaggers. I didn't know at the time that being a flagger was like some huge stigma. I just did it. I did it for the love of the game, okay, and the $40 a day. So Phil and I will get into that here, and then later we got into it again on the Pulp Show on Monday night, and it has become a raging controversy. But there is no controversy. It's fake news, folks. Fake news. Fake news. I was a flagger. No collusion. End of story, okay? Sad. One other thing that's going to be difficult here, Phil asked if he could drop F-bombs, and I said, can you just not drop F-bombs? And he goes on to quickly explain how difficult it is to not drop F-bombs. So he does drop a few here. The very beginning conversation of this podcast right now is Phil trying to explain how hard it will be to not use the F word on this podcast. Get ready. Here we go. I think you can do some.
All right, I think you can do some. It's just hard. I'll try not to.
Well, what are you going to do on Pulp? Are you just going to run it?
I do sometimes, but it's like really, I don't know, it's hard because when you normally do it a lot, it's like you really have to focus on it.
Well, this is what I don't get. They always say, like, riders are boring in interviews because the teams. Does anyone tell you what to say?
No, but it's more just like the professional part, because if kids are listening to it,
okay,
you can't really be dropping F-bombs all the time.
So you just know.
Kind of just know, but it's hard because you have to like really make a mental note of it. But when you're pissed enough, you just say it anyway, without any repercussions.
To other riders too?
Definitely to other riders. That's a no-brainer. And other mechanics and team managers.
Mechanics and team managers?
Oh, heck yeah.
You flip out on mechanics?
Yeah, for sure. Just as much as the rider, especially if they're on the back of the bike with the rider.
Oh, okay.
It's like a 2-for-1 special.
Oh, you'll throw slit them both?
Oh, for sure.
I'll throw slit both.
Yeah.
Was it fun to actually watch a Supercross? Because we saw the highs and lows. You were super pissed about 19 million things, but Coop did win, so I think you were pumped on that.
Yeah, I was pumped on that. I don't know, it was cool. Yeah, it's still a tough reality to go there and watch, tough pill to swallow, I should say. So yeah, that's kind of hard, but yeah, I'm not really that bummed. I'm content on my deal with Canada, and I know what most of the people are making out there.
Okay.
Killing each other and stuff like that. I'm fine with it, so it's nice. Yeah,
you did get mad about things like the rhythm lanes not getting track maintenance.
Yeah, I was mad about that. That was kind of dumb. Like, they're fixing the whoops, which no one was really skimming them. They were jumping them. So that's like the least biggest issue on the track, and they're fixing between the last whoop and the finish line, which they're probably going over the transponder line, but they're jumping in the rhythm lanes 75, 80 feet, dragging foot pegs, but they just left them. You know what I mean?
Is it possible that it was too hard to do maintenance in those transitions in the amount of time they had? Or can you get a skid steer out there?
They wasted
or
10 minutes in the whoops when they could have just went over and fixed. I could have done that, no problem.
What the hell is going on here?
Army.
It's a fucking desert storm.
It is. Look at that tank.
Oh my gosh.
The guy's on top. He's
in the turret. We just literally saw 100 armored military army vehicles out in this desert.
They're issuing martial law out here in the desert. Nobody's out here.
Dude, you need it. Yeah. You lived in the high des in like the Alessi jail cell facility at one point?
Yeah. No, to be honest with you, it wasn't that bad. I kind of enjoyed it. We had fun. Terry Varner's mechanic. He lived down in their high desert house. And I rode their Supercross tracks. And I was a high des local like Kiefer. It wasn't that bad except for the wind and the cold in the wintertime, at certain points. But
I feel like you naturally hating California, like living out in the middle of nowhere desert, was not only a combination to really hate it. Like you're already coming in negative.
It was. I'm gonna drop an F-bomb.
Okay.
It was a fucking shithole.
Okay, well, it's all right.
But it's just like at that point in time in my career, it's kind of like where I had to be, and it's kind of what I had to do. And my sponsors that I had hooked me up with Tony and stuff like that. And we had a decent little program. And Tony can be the first one to attest for it. Is first one to actually really do the factory services program that they have nowadays with like what BTO or not BTO, Rocky Mountain. What they do and stuff like that.
Wait, you were there like the beginning of it?
I was the very first one to get a factory services program.
Oh, and they don't have any pictures of you on the wall in there. That's a pioneer.
It's a bummer. And I actually rode for Factory KTM that year at quite a few races.
Dude, you were pretty good even in Supercross, bro. I remember you getting like 7th place, like off the couch, not even racing.
Yeah, no, what was it? I was actually trying.
No, but weren't you even? Didn't you come in at like mid-season at one point and just immediately get a 7th out the bat?
No, I was already racing that year. I jumped
on their bike.
Yeah, I jumped on their bike. Yeah,
okay.
That's what it was. I filled in for Searle. So Casey Lytle was a team manager, which he was awesome, and Leighton Rice was a motor guy, and there was KTM was a lot. I don't know. It was weird. It's not like the KTM is now. So it was a totally different outfit and program. There's a little more. I don't want to say free for all, but there's a lot more. The mood was a lot better, I would say.
Wasn't Searle like literally the only factory rider they had?
Yeah, he was. They actually made the team for him because.
Oh yes, because he had a deal.
Yeah, it was a whole weird deal. I don't know exactly what down, but it was somewhat shady or whatever.
Well, someone found out like something was filed in court and it's like public record, and then someone found out, oh my God, Searle and KTM are going to court.
Yeah. So and I think that's why they kind of had to do it. They had to be obligated to his second year or whatever.
Yeah. What about Everts? Did you deal with Everts at all?
No, I don't.
Because every once in a while, Everts would come over because he was still pretty high up and like work with Searle.
I don't think he was in 2000.
I don't know which year.
No, I don't.
Dude, he was definitely there in Hangtown. Searle's second year when Hangtown.
When he hammered down.
Searle almost won.
Yeah, almost won.
And I remember Everts was there. I'm like, Everts is taking over American racing. And then for some reason, it all fell apart. That was like Searle's only good race of the year.
Well, that's when Roger came the following year.
Right. And Searle was gone.
Searle was gone.
Yeah.
And Everts never came.
So,
no. I don't know. Yeah, that's where it feels like a lifetime ago.
Dude, when you think about KTM then and now,
totally
or you then and now, like
it's actually funny because I've never met Andy Harrington. And
Regis.
Yeah, Regis, which I had no idea, but I still have his poster hanging in my parents' house in my bedroom back when he rode for Factory KTM.
Why did you have an Andy Harrington?
I got it when I was a little kid at Broome Tioga back in like 2002 when I was running around like thinking posters were fucking awesome.
You're not saying you only have a Regis Harrington poster. You have many posters.
No, I have many posters, but I have his.
Oh, okay. He wasn't like your number one guy.
No, it was,
all right.
I forgot who was on it. It was him, Andy Harrington, Shane King, and I don't know, there's another oddball that was on the team at that point. Yeah, I have him.
Just the factory KTM team at that time.
And I told my brother.
Not Wheeler. Was it Wheeler?
No, I don't know.
Was Wheeler? He was AM Leonard, I think.
Yes, I think he was. I told Harrington, I go, bro, like, you're 20 years too late to factory KTM.
That would have been awesome. I know.
Yeah, you should have been there now. He's like, yeah, you're right. He's like, I got screwed, but I don't know. He kills it now.
In the stunt world?
Supposedly.
Does he live in New Orleans, I think, or something like that?
Baton Rouge.
I think Baton Rouge.
That's what.
Because there's a lot of filming down there.
Yeah, I only know this because Steve told me, but I'm not a real Andy Harrington fan. I don't know much about him, so
you just have his poster.
Yeah, I just know the knowledge.
But here's what I don't understand, Phil. You talk about, I know how much money these dudes are racing. Supercross is death cross. You're pretty much negative on everything all the time. But deep down inside, you must actually like dirt bike racing. You put yourself through all this shit to try to make your career work. You clearly must really like it, because I saw your shed you lived in at club. You lived out in the high desert in the middle of nowhere. Like, you made some serious sacrifices. You must really actually like dirt bike racing.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, it's, like I said, it's, racing. Even though there are bad days, still riding the motorcycle is what you basically signed up for. So, obviously, you want to make money because you do consider it your job. But yeah, I wouldn't change anything that I had done. I would just wish maybe some things were a little bit easier and I would have got a little better... some more breaks, easier breaks, I guess I should say, and it wasn't such a road of hard knocks. But the last 4 or 5 years were really good. So obviously, I don't really consider myself a filling guy for what I was doing because I did race an absolute shit ton.
Yeah, you did. You raced more than the regular JGR guys.
Yeah. So I think it's for me. Yeah, it was somewhat successful, and the deal with Canada. I still want to race and still want to go up there and win.
But I'm just saying, you don't look back and say, all the stuff I had to go through and the amount of money I made, I should have just quit. I shouldn't even have pursued this. Because it appears like you actually are happy that you race.
I am, because racing still gave me a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, not a lot. Like, obviously our sport is still so far behind with a lot of that stuff and pay and whatever, but that's a totally different subject.
Right.
But it still was able to, give me certain stuff. I'm not a college student and I'm not in debt at the moment.
So other things are even more negative.
Yeah.
There you go. Other things suck even more.
Yeah, paying $40,000 to go to college and get education's way worse than doing what I did. I think, but I was still fortunate. It could have been a lot worse for me racing a dirt bike, so I can't really say that. Obviously.
You are going to leave when you're retired as a net profit on racing, right? Like, you're going to end up having made money, not spent money.
Made money, but obviously I only made money or was able to save because I saved, how cheap we are.
Oh, how cheap, yes.
The reason I stayed at club and lived in little shacks and stuff like that was to... I didn't need to rent big houses or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was, in my mid-20s. I don't have a family to provide for, so all I needed to do was ride, train, eat good, and it didn't matter. A bed was a bed, That's the way I looked at it, so... But
your siblings got it, like, super dialed, don't they?
Yeah, my siblings got it figured out. So most people don't know I'm the oldest of 5, so I have 3 sisters and a brother, so... And they're all my sisters, no step sisters or whatever, so my parents really got down to the nitty-gritty.
They really like each other.
Yeah, and it's actually funny, because my one sister, she turns 26 in February, so 26, 27, 28, 29. And my little brother was a mistake, and he's 21. So we're stacked on top of each other.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
But 4 straight, 4-peat?
Yeah,
4-peat.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do the sisters do?
One's a lawyer. One works for the Yankees. Handles their whole event coordinating, everything.
Works for the New York Yankees.
Yeah, does everything that has nothing to do with baseball. So
right, but does she know the Steinbrenners? Like, does she rub elbows?
I'm sure she's met them. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, of course. And then my other one is a parole officer / detective. I don't even know what the heck she really does. So they got to figure it out. Real jobs, yeah. I'm an idiot trying to ride a dirt bike.
Yeah, how does that get interpreted? Because when I go back for holidays, I feel bad. Like, my sister works in like child services in New Jersey, and she has the worst job of all time. Yeah. Her job is to go in, drugged out, horrible parents, and try to save the children. Like, thankfully,
I don't know why I laughed at that. Because it's not funny.
No, I mean, it's horrible. It's so bad horrible. You can laugh. The story she tells of, like, you think you know people who are messed up.
Yeah.
You have when the government has to get involved, these people are way worse than you can ever imagine. But what I feel bad for is, so it's like when I'm back for the holidays, my sister's story, she's like literally saving kids' lives, like getting kids out of a house of like their heroin addicted mom.
Yep.
And everybody's like, hey, tell us what it was like when you went to Anaheim and when you got to go to Paris and you do TV. And I'm like, I cover dirt bike racing. She's like saving people. So when you go, are you dumb dirt bike racer? Or are they like, oh my God, Phil, so cool?
Yeah, no, Phil, yeah, it's so cool or
Yeah.
whatever, you know. Like my sisters know what I do. They have my whole life, but they don't go to my races or anything. They could really care less. Like,
Did they get dragged to races all the time when you were younger?
No, they had their own lives.
How?
My mom took like me and my dad went racing Saturday, Sundays, and then we'd come back, and my mom would do stuff with my sisters. It was just kind of.
But did the sisters and mom get dragged to the races on Saturday, Sunday? Or was it a lot
no, they came if it was a local race, like 45 minutes away. Yeah, they came.
Yeah.
And would hang out, but yeah, it was weird. Like motocross is kind of weird. It either brings a family apart or tears it together. Like I don't know. We kind of had like in between. I don't know. It was kind of a catch-22.
How did your sisters not get entangled in once they start going to races? They end up dating racers. How did they manage it?
No, because they're a lot smarter.
Oh, they're smarter
enough.
enough.
Smart enough.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
No, they know how I was and how stupid I was. They're like, there's not a chance, you know. And I was going to school at that time, and I was still barely cutting it. So yeah, they understood. And my friends that would come around, they'd be like, he's the dumbest person we've ever met. You know,
about you.
Not about me, but about my buddies.
Oh, about your buddies.
Yeah.
They were smart enough to know how dumb all the dirt bike guys were. Okay,
yeah.
good for them. But not to alarm anyone to say that you're going to stop racing anytime soon necessarily, but you actually do have a plan you've put together. Like you're not just going to become goggle guy, gear guy in the industry.
No. I don't want anything really to do with dirt bikes after. So I actually got to fly home the February 2nd to take the CO test. Be a corrections officer. So just for a plan B, because I can defer for 2 years. Obviously, my contract in Canada is for 2 years, but you need a life after racing, which I talked to Canary. He does that, and it's a good job. You work 2 days a week, 5 days off or whatever.
Is it 2 24-hour shifts or something?
12-hour shifts.
That's it?
Yeah.
24 hours a week?
Yeah, pretty much.
Why?
Sometimes it's like 3 days a week. I don't know. It's just the way it goes.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I don't know why more people wouldn't do it, but because you're just sitting around watching prisoners most of the time.
You're not fighting them?
No, they're
the stuff
behind
not
bars.
really breaking.
I mean, yeah, maybe in some. I mean, what's this on Netflix? Prison Wars or whatever it is. Like, I don't watch that stuff, but I don't really know how gnarly it is. If you're just at a county or local state prison, I don't know.
Has Canary given you any gnarly stories of having?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it does happen.
When Bob's having a bad day, I think he can take it out.
Oh.
In the jail, but he's
maybe we need to feel bad for them.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're in there, when Phil's in there and you're pissed off and negative.
I'm not as bad as Bob. Bob's
really?
way worse than me.
Bob? I've never seen Canary not smiling. Is there a whole edge to that?
Huh?
I know he's meathead and all. I know on the track.
Have you never seen Bob snap?
No, I didn't know he had snap in him.
Yeah.
He has like a permanent smile.
Yeah, that's just a front.
Yeah, I'm only skin deep, dude. I never got to the core.
No. Bob's gnarly when it comes to that stuff.
Is he smiling assassin?
Yeah. It's just a front.
Wow.
Yeah. Bob's crazy sometimes.
Oh, I had no idea.
Awesome dude, but crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna be like wrapping the bars with hitting. Their hands will be on the bars, and you're gonna be taking the nightstick and breaking their knuckles.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's just for a plan B. I'm not saying that. It's just for something after racing for when I do go home to New York.
It's not 100% plan that you're going to do that, or is it? You just don't know when.
It's not 100% plan. It's just another. It's $36 or something to sign up for the test to fly home and take it. I might as well do it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd be stupid not to.
But I'm pumped because, this will end up being a success story. You busted your ass. But you made enough money where whatever, you bought some land there back home.
Yeah. I have 40 acres back home.
And then it's not like, because I raced dirt bikes and didn't get a degree, now I'm screwed for the rest of my life and I can't find a job.
No, it's not like that. I just don't want to be, when I'm done racing, then I'm stuck in limbo for 8 months trying to figure out something to do.
Your guy.
Yeah. I just don't want to do that.
Riding schools?
I'm not teaching kids how to ride a dirt bike. That is the worst thing I could. I can't do it. I enjoy riding for myself. I hate teaching people how to do it.
Really?
I don't mind. I would probably be maybe physical trainer. I don't mind that part of it.
Yeah.
But going to the track every day to teach them how to ride, no.
No. Have you done any? There's money out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you done some guest ones?
No, I haven't really done any guest ones. I've done some, but
yeah.
I just that shit's brutal. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be at a track, breathing in dust all day, not riding a dirt bike. Telling somebody how to do it's just not fun.
Okay, so what I'm getting here is many things are negative, many things are not awesome, but ultimately you just really do like riding dirt bikes.
Yeah.
You just like riding dirt bikes. So that's what justifies whatever garbage you've had to go through.
Yeah. I have more fun going to ride with my buddies. Like, 3 of my best buddies are older. You know, they're like 45 to 55. And I have more fun going to ride with them.
You are kind of like an old man for your age, I feel.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
That's fitting, I think, that you 45-year-olds are like your true demo.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I'd rather go on a road trip with those 3 idiots and ride. And I mean, they suck. They're not good at all, but I don't know. There's something about going to hang out with their boys and cruise. Like, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, like you told me that you used to ride in the winter in New York, but not like it's torturously cold, but you actually wanted to do it. Like, you didn't want to not ride.
I mean, my dad worked, I was never homeschooled, so I couldn't go to MTF or wherever, go to club when I was a kid.
Right.
Like, that was a third of my sisters that had that happen.
Yeah.
So I live on a main snowmobile trail where my property is, and I would run these trailboard tires, and I would ride my dirt bike on the snowmobile trails. And honestly, that's kind of what helped with my mud skills, because riding in the snow is somewhat like riding in mud.
Okay.
But when the snowmobile trails get packed down and they freeze, I mean, I would fucking haul ass.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it worked pretty good.
It worked. It was phenomenal. Like, I'd ride my CR80s, probably every year when I was on an 80, so that's 4 years, and I did 2 years on 125s, you know, riding in the wintertime like that.
Would you build like a trackish type?
No, I would just ride the snowmobile.
Ride the trails.
Ride the snowmobile.
So you'd be riding
trails.
for miles.
I would put on my racing boots, snow pants, and knee braces, obviously helmet, whatever, and my chest protector. And I'd put a gallon and a half extra gas in my backpack, and I would go for miles and miles with my buddies on snowmobiles. But I was on my dirt bike.
Wait, they were on snowmobiles?
Yeah, and I would smoke them through the trails. But then obviously when we get out to the cornfields and the trails opened up, I'd bog down a little bit, but yeah, it was unreal.
Did you consider that I'm trying to race, I need practice, or was it literally just because you thought it was cool and fun?
It was cool, but it was still riding time. You know?
Did think of it as like a training thing.
Yeah, because then when I started riding again in March, it was like I was still way behind everybody that was already riding that had went down south. So it always took me till about March, like mid-May, you know, regionals before I was back up to speed. But but I still wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, now I don't mind riding year round. I don't really get burnt out. And I think that kind of helped with me wanting to grind through the pro career, because I still felt like I had a lot more in me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I don't know, double negative. I don't know. Like I was.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like, I don't know.
No, there's stories like that. We were talking about you battling Dunge, and that's probably one of the main things with Dunge. You couldn't ride certain times a year in Minnesota.
Yeah. But Dunge still went down south to Texas and stuff and rode during the winter times, and was still kind of.
He told me he only did it 1 year.
Really, only one year?
That's what he says. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's maybe. I thought
maybe he could do it. Maybe there was only 1 year where he did it like a lot. Maybe he was doing it 1 week.
That
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then 1 year he did more. But he totally says like half the reason he could work so hard when he was pro is because he had to take 4 months a year off.
Yeah. Which I'm glad I did, because obviously in the wintertime as an amateur, there's not shit going on. You know, like what do you really need? And you know, if you really think spring nationals are what you need to be at, and you need those titles or whatever, then so be it. But Loretta's is the main one, you know, and Mini O's is obviously really big, but it is hard, because for amateur kids to put all your dice in one race like Loretta's, it sucks, which that's what I've had to do. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
This is hilarious. So you and I were talking about Dunge, like the switch flipped and it came out of nowhere. I didn't realize that you and Dunge are like the same age and you battled a lot.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea. You were like amateur, similar on speed a lot of time.
Yeah, we're always like the 3 to 5 guy, you know? Obviously Hill and Osborne were always just a tad bit faster, but Dunge and I had some pretty good battles, you know?
Dude, I remember watching Hill as an amateur. Like, that would be my biggest swing and a miss. I'm like, he will be as good as anyone who has ever raced. He was Josh Hill was so good at Loretta's.
Unbelievable. It was literally unbelievable.
Yes.
Like, obviously, I never went to spring nationals, but I would get cycle news and stuff like that, and I would read the results. And Josh was getting work back then, at spring nationals, because he was up in Washington or Oregon or wherever. He didn't really ride that much either.
I heard that.
So he was always just doing like the little indoor stuff, arena crosses. But then he never did Ponca. But dude, when he would show up at Loretta's, it was just like, what the hell?
It was lights out.
Unbelievable.
Right.
And I still remember the first time I went to Loretta's in '99, where I met Zach that first year at a couple regionals, and we became really good friends way back then.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I met Hill there, and my dad was like in shell shock watching this other 9-year-old kid. It's back when the finish line at Loretta's used to be a big double before the checkered flag.
Yeah.
And Hill was busting it out on a 60, and me and Zach might have done it, but I don't jump. I didn't jump back then either. So that's kind of when it started. So I was going roll roost. But it was pretty unreal to see someone of that caliber at that age. And we're like,
he was already that good at 9.
Yeah.
And then even at 16.
He was dominating back then.
Yeah, when I heard that Suzuki was going to bring Dunjon as a factory rider as a pro, I was like, what? And then it was so shocking that I feel like that got all the attention. And I'm like, why is everybody even bothering talking about this Dungey guy? Like, Josh Hill is coming. He's the one that everyone needs to keep their eye on. Like, he is unreal. And the very first, they turned pro at the same exact time. Hill was better like the first 2 races.
Yeah, I remember because I
remember
went pro.
Broome Tioga?
I went pro the same year.
You did it right after them.
Yep. Actually, no, Dunge didn't go in 06 at Broome. Where was he at Broome?
Yeah, he was at Broome.
Yeah, he was.
He didn't race Loretta's.
He went to Millville.
He didn't race Loretta. You didn't do Millville, but you did Broome?
Yeah, I did Broome.
Yes,
Broome and
home
Steel
race,
City.
bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
And Hill almost won his second national.
Yeah, I went 5-3 that day. I remember because I went 18. Should have been 7. I crashed with 2 laps to go. I was battling back then. Marty.
Oh no way! Battling with Marty.
Battling Marty and Sipes was riding WBR. Suzuki.
Oh, I remember that.
Yep. So.
What deal did you have when you?
I was privateer, just
Nothing.
had a pickup and trailer. Yeah. Just me and Pops.
You and Pops.
Yep. So.
Okay, so here's the unfortunate thing for you. Not only can you say you were on factory KTM, but not what factory KTM is now. You were also on Bobby Hewitt's team.
Yeah. I was on Bobby Hewitt's team.
Which is now the 450 Supercross Championship team, but it was not.
No,
you were also not on it at that time.
No, we were far from a championship team back then. And Bobby will tell you that too. And
okay.
Yeah, Bobby got mad at me because I did a podcast with Steve.
Oh yeah.
And I
Steve
mentioned
will get you in trouble.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I mentioned that the team was garbage back then, which it was. It's not a lie. It was complete garbage. But now here we are 10 years later, and it's the baddest team in the pits.
I think it is. Yeah.
When I rode for them, I thought it was going to be awkward the second time around because I was kind of nervous at first, and Scuba didn't really like me. Their crew chief.
Yeah, can you say why?
Yeah, because I cleaned him out at a local race of Frozen Ocean.
When you were how old?
I was maybe 13.
And he was a grudge ever since.
Yeah, I mean, that's what us New Yorkers do. We hold grudges.
Okay. Oh, so that's why Bobby Canary has an edge to him. Just the way these people are.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like a light switch.
Oh, all right.
Just snap.
So you were a little worried.
I was a little worried.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I hadn't really talked to Bobby at all that much over that 10-year span, even though we're all in the same paddock. Yeah. And I was living at Bobby's house back in 08 too.
In Texas?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. In Texas and in Huntington.
Wow.
Because I wasn't getting paid a whole lot, so like I didn't have enough money to really pay rent. You get paid $30,000 a year. Like people think, oh yeah,
$30,000.
Yeah,
you sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You signed for $200,000, which is not even the case. So I was nervous, and it turned out to be awesome.
That's a good little full circle thing. So in the U.S. at least, that was the first team you were on, and it was the last team you were on.
Yep, first team I was on, and the last team I was on.
Wow.
Yep, the first team I was on that was horrible, and the last best team I was on where I got my best result ever. So it's kind of it's ironic.
How did you get picked up? Like, were you at least on the? I mean, I remember you was an amateur. You were on the radar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had Hill and you had Zach, and it was like I was kind of like the next best guy. After Tickle and stuff like that had gotten signed, and Yeah, I was the next available one.
So you just did those last 2 nationals or whatever as a privateer, but you were on Team Extreme, as it was called, the very next year?
Yeah, Motorsport.
Yeah. Motorsport.
Or whatever, yeah.
Team Extreme, whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it was. As an amateur, It was Extreme. But, yeah, it was kind of weird because back then it was Ed Torrance, and I thought Ed Torrance was going to be the team manager of the pro team, which I was stoked about because I really liked Ed, and he was awesome. And it turned out it was Bill Keefe.
Oh.
And I liked Bill, you know what I mean? But I don't think he really liked the 18-year-old New York kid. Like, I don't know. We butted heads, I'm not going to lie. You know, like, I don't think he really liked me, and I don't think I really liked him at the time. You know? And it's funny because I like his, Tyler, TK.
Yeah.
TK is awesome. You
Yeah.
know? It's just weird how it all works out. Like, you feel like you make all these enemies and stuff, but in the end, it's such small shit, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but so if you didn't like something, even at 18 years old and just getting ridden, you would express yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of your deal.
I mean, you can't ride it. You can't ride it. I remember I pulled into into the pits at Redbud, and I wanted to do a suspension change.
Yeah.
But we could never do a suspension change unless we talked to Bones at PC.
The team would not do it.
No, and I told my mechanic, like, for the love of God, just change my clickers. And I got so mad, I remember, and I was in the pits, in the mechanics area, and he changed it, and I got back to the semi, and Bill was already kind of waiting for me. Yeah, and he kind of told me, listen, you're not allowed to do anything with the bike unless we say we got to talk to Bones about
Oh my
this
gosh.
and that. That's when obviously PC was like the number one team,
Yes.
so it's just like you couldn't do anything without that whole deal, which was kind of, I'm glad our sport finally got away from all that.
They had it on lock.
Yeah, they had it on. They had it on lock for
They did.
a while, which fair enough. That's just the way it is.
It's weird though because I know that 4-strokes have apparently ruined the sport, and it costs teams more money than ever. And oh my gosh, it makes it so difficult to compete. Dude, the 250 class has never been this even, ever in history of the sport.
Ever.
There's 6 brands.
Always one team always had such an upper advantage of.
In the 125 days, it
Yeah.
was massive.
Yeah, huge.
Like certain good riders would just be screwed one year because their 125 was slow.
Like now, every top team bikes are solid. Basically now you sign with a team based on the people.
Right.
If you don't like the people, forget about it. You make your life hell.
Yeah. No one's gonna say that the Star Yamahas we know are great.
No.
Obviously, Pro Circuit's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, Geico Honda's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, KTM's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, Husqvarna's good.
Like, I'm just saying,
Are we okay with Suzuki? Are we all right, bro?
Yeah, I'm okay with
Okay.
Suzuki.
All
Yeah,
right, they're fine too. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So that's 6 brands that are all like okay.
Yeah. And basically, if you're an amateur kid and you have all 6 brands, and they want to sign you, and they're all good bikes, like, it all comes down to the people that you want to spend your time with. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's kind of, but obviously you want to go with a team that can win championships, and that has won championships, obviously.
Yeah, but that's all of them. That's the whole thing.
It's not all of them.
Well, okay. Many of them that we
That's not all of them.
many of them that we've listed have won a lot of
yeah.
championships.
Yeah.
Many of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Not all.
That's true.
Okay, here's something that's changed massively. You're not even that old. It's not like you were racing 20 years ago. But you just race locally. You just race locally.
Yep.
Dude, that's done. That's done.
And it's so sad. Like,
Yes.
it's hard because, like, obviously I spend a lot of my time at Club MX.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, you see the complete other side.
I see the complete other side, and I ride with him. And I've seen the complete other side for 6 years, 7 years since I've been down there. Kids don't race on the weekends.
No.
It is nuts. Me and my old man, if I didn't go racing on the weekends, I was wrecked. I was gutted that we weren't there. And, like, if he would threaten me we couldn't go racing on the weekends, like, I felt like my whole world was crumbling. Like,
Because you just wanted to race.
I just wanted to go race.
You loved it.
I loved it. I did everything I could to load the pickup truck, load the cooler, so we could get out of there,
The one thing I never quite understand about that, I like riding dirt bikes too, but you're always going to be super nervous when you're driving to the track or before your moto or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that people enjoy that, like, to me, I was like, I just have to deal with that if I want to go racing today, but I wasn't stoked on it. That never bothered you?
No.
Because I'm sure you did. Everybody gets nervous.
Yeah, I only did it, like, the regionals. because like
the locals you were never nervous.
No. Regionals were always like, because for so many years, until I started getting factory support as an amateur, we only did one region. We only did Northeast because we didn't have the money to go do Mid-East and Southeast, so it's really hard. So I always had to be super focused to make sure I made it out of the Northeast Regional. But
your whole year is ruined if you screw that race
if
up.
I didn't make it to Loretta's, or I only made it in one class, you know, it's hard to go to Loretta's and only race one class. There's multiple times because we only did one region. I had to go to Loretta's as an alternate, you know, in one of the classes. Yeah, like it's
Did you always get in, or was there a year where you raced one class?
There's years when I did one class.
No way.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell your, you know, obviously when you're that young, you're really stupid and you don't know what $1 is. You know, but to spend that much money and sit around for one class at Loretta's is kind of stupid, you know.
You're saying it's pretty much not even worth.
It's not even. I don't think it's.
You feel bad for your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
You're spending the exact same amount.
My dad's using his vacation time to go to Loretta's to sit around. Like that's not vacation time,
right?
You know,
right.
And he goes to Loretta's, and he's more wore out after he leaves Loretta's, going back to work than when he actually got done with work, heading to Loretta's. You know, it doesn't even make sense. So,
that was his vacation.
That was his vacation. So I kind of felt bad that he would do that, but I don't know. It's hard. But as soon as I started getting factory support with Honda, and I got on, you know, B class and stuff like that, they're like, hey, listen, we're giving you 8 motorcycles. You have to go do 2 or 3 regions because we need you at Loretta's.
Yes.
You know? So then we're like, okay, we get it. But at that point in time, like, you know, I was getting more as an amateur than I did as a pro. My first year, more support, and
I hear that a lot.
More money too, you know, which is really
more money. How? Just through contingency?
Well, you know, had Red Bull, you know, and then obviously I didn't race all year, so I had a bunch of leftover brand new Hondas you were able to sell. You know, so it's kind of like I didn't really use all the bikes, and back then Honda treated me very well. Bill Savino and Dave Tomford.
You were like full on program?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And, they helped me out tremendously. I don't know why, but they did. And, you know, I didn't win titles, but I was always either second or third down there, so I think it was enough for them to help me.
Did you like dominate locally?
Yeah.
Were you like hot shot?
Yeah, dominated locally. And, you know, obviously when I turned A, and I was actually really fortunate when I turned A because we had so many badasses. Ty Wallace, Barry Karsten, Damian Plotz, Kevin Klein.
So you had to race the men.
So I had to race the men. So for me as a kid growing up, like that was fucking awesome. You know? Like I don't know how to say it. Like, you know, like those are badass guys to race against. So and obviously we're only 6 laps at a local race, but they hounded me every step of the way. You know, and obviously Barry and I didn't kind of get along there for a little bit.
Oh, what do you mean, obviously? I didn't know this.
At Pagoda one time, I lost my rear brake and I center punched Barry.
Oh.
I mean, I smashed him. And I got off the track and Barry came up and dropped his bike and ripped me off my dirt bike.
Get out.
Yeah.
And you were how old? Were you a minor?
I was 16.
So he was ready to fight him up.
Just about 17.
This is great.
No, Barry was going to kill me. And
fight a 16-year-old.
Yeah, and
maybe in racing that's allowed.
I'm sorry, I lost my rear brake, you know. And he got on my bike, rode my bike, and thank God my rear brake was not working.
He was like, "I'm going to find out if you're lying."
Yeah.
I'm going to see if you're lying. He got on your bike.
He got on my bike, and from that day on, Barry was awesome with me. You know, it's just like crazy. I mean, the guy's a legend. All those guys were legends back then. So it's it's cool to say I got to race with them.
Were you racing Englishtown ever, like 98, 99? Were you racing Englishtown a lot?
Yeah.
Do you remember your yellow flagger on the elevator jump? You don't remember?
Bullshit that you weren't even there.
Why do people say that? Why would I lie about this?
Richie's Upgo, all the boys from back then say that Weege never was a flagger.
Of course they don't know that. Do you think they were hanging out with flaggers? Of course they didn't know me. I stood in the jump. I was never
going to plunge.
The first year I was just wherever. That would have been 98 or maybe 97. Then my second year, I got to the staircase. And then they tried to promote me the third year to card guy, and I had like a radio and everything. And dude, I couldn't get it down, because you know in locals, when you're trying to get like 40 motos in, it's so key. Like you have to have the card sideways, you know, 2 minutes to go in the and I would be late every time. And they'd be screaming at me in the head saying, "Get the card sideways! You're going to cost us 45 minutes!"
Dude, actually, one of my best buddies, one of my older buddies, thinks that you're lying about the whole deal. He doesn't believe you because he's asked tons of people to E-Town, has Weigandt ever been a flagger here? They say no.
No one would have known. The only person who would know is
who?
The only person who would know, like, Ken Landerman was the one that handed me my $40. So if he would actually, like, if he saw me and was like, I remember giving you money, but you didn't sign anything.
You don't have any pictures from back then?
No, I was a flagger.
Your mom didn't take, oh, look at my son, he's so cool, he's a fucking
Dude, I was 20. I was in college. No one was impressed. I was pumped that I was getting $40 extra so I could have lunch for the month.
Sat out there and got sunbaked all day.
No, those opening rounds in March.
Yeah, freezing.
Oh,
freezing.
Brutal.
Northeast Classic races back then. Yeah. No,
have you ever broed down a flagger at a local race? Like just broed down the flagger?
What do you mean, broed down? Like hung out with them?
Yeah, like during the race day, be like, hey man, what's up?
To a flagger?
Yeah.
Never.
Well, of course. That's why no one knows I was there. No one was ever going to come up to me and be like, hey, what's your name? What do you got going on?
Never.
I remember when Steve Brune came to K-Rock every year, and I was actually already writing stuff and getting on the Racer X site, and I'm like, hey, Steve Brune. It's like, yeah, I'm Jason Weigandt. I've been writing stuff on Racer X website. He's like, oh yeah, I've seen your name. I was wondering what was going on. And then he looked down and saw that I was holding a yellow flag, and like the level of confusion on his face.
That's funny.
Yes.
He just saw you're a peasant
at
that point.
And then one time I went up to, Rich Trevelise, the announcer, was like, hey, if anybody knows what happened at the Supercross last night, wherever it was, Minneapolis or something. So I ran over to the tower because I had listened to the Supercross webcast, which, dude, became the host of like 4 years later. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell you what happened. I know the podium in each class. And then Rich is like, oh, that was really interesting. Thanks for the info. He's like, and what do you do here? You race? And I'm like, no, I'm actually one of your flaggers. And again, the look on his face.
So Rich wouldn't recognize you from back then.
He only knows from me telling him this, and he just has to trust me. There's no way he remembers. But
really,
again, no one broke down the flaggers.
I mean, I hear you. I've been to E-Town
millions of times,
yes. And I don't know one flagger from there.
Thank you. That's my point.
So yeah, I guess you kind of.
That is my point. Okay, so you used to go to E-Town. Yeah, like I never thought about that. The transition when like the fast, young up and comer goes to the A class. Now you just have to race the 30-year-olds.
Yeah. No, it was a big big step. You know? Yeah. And I don't think Barry was maybe 40 then. So
still 40.
Yeah. I don't even.
Well, no,
think
you're
he was
right.
30.
He's like 55 now. He probably was 40.
Yeah. But at that time, like Plotz was still doing pretty good,
mm-hmm.
like in top 10s at nationals at Unadilla and stuff like that. Yep. So he's still really gnarly. So yeah, that was kind of hard, but I mean, I was still quite a bit faster.
Okay.
Just because I think that was kind of like where the era of speed started to really switch. You know. Scrubbing and all that stuff. So like the older guys really didn't have that sort of stuff figured out at a local level. But dude, I have so many stories going up to Central Village and racing Mike Treadwell and him kicking my ass, and I was supposed to be the next best thing, and Treadwell beat me 4 out of 4 motos, and my old man was so fucking pissed that this old guy, fat and because Treadwell wasn't fit in like 06, not like he is now.
Not like he is now, where he looks like he'd kill you.
He'd kill you.
Yes.
I mean, he would have killed you back then, but you know, now he's super gnarly. Looks like an MMA fighter.
Yeah. Back then it was just like big. He was just man strength.
Yeah. Just man strength. Yeah, and he beat me 4 out of 4 motos. Wow. And my old man the whole way home cursed me.
Really?
You're supposed to be going pro, and you have this 40-year-old guy kicking the shit out of you, and you can't pass him. And that's why I stayed out of New England, because Tony LaRusso and all those guys were so gnarly. Like, I don't know, my ego was too big, and I sucked in the sand, so I didn't want anything to do with it.
Okay.
So I'd go up there and end up getting 10th. And I never raced Southwick until my first year pro in 2008.
You just stayed out of Southwick altogether.
Yeah, and I was only 2.5 hours from Southwick.
Oh my gosh, and they probably had 100 races a year.
100 races a year, but instead of going 2.5 hours to Massachusetts, I went 2.5 hours to Jersey to race E-Town.
Oh my gosh, stay out of Southwick.
Stay out of New England. I was just like, not a chance.
See, I missed this because I didn't race, but I told Matthes this blew his mind. I didn't know that being a flagger was weird. I also didn't know that going to local races and just sitting in the bleachers as a spectator is like something you don't do. Like I didn't know that most of the people in the bleachers at a local race are just in between their motos or family members. So I used to just go, and
you were actually paying the $20 spectator fee.
Yes, my dad would take me to the races to watch. I mean, in my family, it was like the idea that you would ever could ever race a dirt bike was like, no, you couldn't race a dirt bike. It's way too hard. You could never, ever, ever do this. So
you're spending your flagging money to eventually go back to give the money back just to spectate and watch.
No, it was, I used to spend money to spectate, and then I realized as a flagger I could get paid to do the same.
And watch it. That's true.
But anyway, I used to watch. Hey, I went to tons of these local races, and the battles were awesome. Yeah, you mentioned Plotz or Joel Dangler any of those. Dude, there were these local guys. I feel like this is what's dead. There were local guys who would race the local races. They were bad dudes. It wasn't like when you watched them, you're like, I just watched Jeremy McGrath on TV. These dudes suck. They could ride. They could make a living through contingency, purse, chasing every weekend. And they were bad dudes. You respected them.
They were really bad dudes. And obviously, Barry had it down to a T. He'd race High Point.
The next day, and somehow.
Back then, High Point was, or Steel City was on Labor Day or Memorial Day. Which one's in September?
High Point was Memorial Day. Steel City was Labor Day.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then they would come back and race a Monday at either Sleepy Hollow or Pine Grove.
On a Monday,
yeah. Cause
for the holiday.
Because those races would do 2-day races, Saturdays or Sundays and Mondays.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of times those Mondays were contingency races, and they would, triple dip or whatever. They had it down to a science.
Or he would race Supercross Saturday night, and then his wife would drive all through the night, and he'd be there in practice Sunday morning.
Exactly. I don't know. That's a tough way to do it, though.
It is, but I thought it was cool because I'm like, there were other ways to quote unquote make it as a dirt bike racer. You could
back then,
you could put money on the table from age 20 to 30, in your prime pro years as a local guy. You didn't have to. It was not all or none.
Yeah.
I have to go to a training facility and become a pro and win Supercross races, or it's not going to happen.
And that's what I have problem with the sport at the moment is
there's no middle ground.
These kids get pulled out of school. They go to these training facilities, and they ride, they practice Monday through Friday, and then they take Saturdays and Sundays off. Well, Saturdays, Sundays is your race day.
Yep.
Why aren't you going to race and incorporating the skills that you had learned? I don't understand. They're 4-lap races, but a lot happens in 4 races, and the gate drop's a gate drop. I would go, like I said, every Saturday and Sunday we would race, and I would race 4 classes, and I'd get as much gate time as I possibly could, and that's just the way it was.
I hear now, people be like, but dude, you just sit there all day waiting for your moto. I'm like, I get that, and that does suck, and I understand, but you also, that was the deal in 1999, and everyone did it. No one cared.
Everyone did it, and they say, we race each other, at club or at MTF or whatever, but you're racing the same 6 guys. You know where that one guy is slower on the track, and you just pass him in the same spot over and over.
This is really how it works?
That's how it works with me when I do motos with them. I mean,
you just knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, you know where you can pass them, you know where you can set them up. It's just becomes monotonous. But when you go to a race and you don't really know who they are, I don't know. It's like you train, but you don't race, and then all you're doing is training for Loretta's, and you do your area qualifiers and your regionals. How is that getting you ready? I don't know. That concept of the sport is jacked up.
It just hurts in so many ways because now that tracks, it used to be, you get discovered by going to your local track and doing well, and then you get more support, and then you can maybe start doing Loretta's or whatever, and it goes from there. So that meant your local track was important. You had to go there and impress people and get it started there. And this again is not that long ago. I remember Brock Hepler just racing every weekend as a factory Suzuki rider in 04. That's only 15 years.
I was younger than Hepler, but Brock in 04 was going to Double and Gap and racing a Northeast Classic race.
As a factory Suzuki rider. Loretta's champ.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. They just don't do that anymore. To me, that's mind blowing.
Do you remember some J Law?
I used to do, me and J Law battled tooth and nail as kids growing up. Obviously,
I imagine.
Jay is 2 years older than me, so it's a little bit of a deficit, in the 80 classes, but there were certain motos where I actually beat him, and I would be so pumped, and there were other motos where he worked me. But it was crazy. I was actually really fortunate to have him locally to be able to grow up and race with.
That's why I'm bringing that up. Even him, same thing with Hepler. Your local track had a guy that was good enough to become a Supercross champ or Supercross race winner.
Yep.
Dude, I remember J-Law in the schoolboy class at 12 would race on his 85.
Yeah,
against 125.
I would ride my Super Mini. Yeah, I'd ride my Super Mini in the schoolboy class. But now you can't even do that anymore.
They don't even let you.
No.
Oh, and I figured it was such a he would not quite be able to win the moto. Like it would take.
He was
at that point so hard.
You would push so hard, and at that point in time, it taught me how to pass people.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Even though I was on a slower bike or whatever,
Yep.
but I was getting 6 in the schoolboy class, but
Yes.
I was still able to like work and figure out like how to set up a pass. You know,
Yeah.
like you can't change that. And I used to do that in the 7-Eleven class. I used to ride my 60 in the 85 class. You used to be able to do that back then.
Make yourself get faster.
Yeah, and I hate saying it back then because it's not like it was like 1992.
It feels that way though.
Yeah,
it's
but-
changed so much in 12 years, I'd say.
Dude, yeah, and between 98 and 01, yeah, I could ride my 60s in the 80 class, you know?
Yeah.
Because people didn't care. It was just like, oh, they're already at a deficit anyway, so it's
Right.
just like he's got way less horsepower. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter, you know?
That's where I first noticed, like, dude, this Jason Lawrence guy's unreal. He's almost beating these 15-year-old 125 guys at 12 on an 85. And he was riding so hard to try to beat them.
Yep.
Because in his 85 class, 7 to 11 or whatever it would be, he would just win by a mile. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, well, maybe you were in there. Sorry, I don't want no disrespect, bro. No disrespect, bro.
No, I mean, the guy had talent, and, you know, it's crazy to think back. Like, they used to have an old, what are those cruiser vans? The big ones, like
The ones with like beds inside and all that? Oh, really?
Yeah, like the real comfortable ones.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Conversion.
Yeah, conversion vans.
Yes.
That's exactly
Yes.
what it is. And yeah, they would have a bike rack on the back. And
Seriously?
Yeah, Jason's grandfather would drive them around, and
Wow.
they would race. Yeah, it's nuts.
Do you remember Jerry Sipe? Remember Jerry Sipe?
Yeah.
Oh.
Jerry Sipe came. He ripped me a new one time because I was riding out one of his sand pits where you weren't supposed to be at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's all right. Jerry's crazy.
Oh, he's got a little crazy to him?
He's a little crazy.
Okay, close enough to New York, I guess. Even though New Jersey,
Close
to have
enough.
to switch.
Yeah, but he's still a nut job.
He looks like a pit bull.
He is a pit bull.
Yeah.
He's gnarly. I've seen Jerry get into it with quite a few people.
His
over the
face was
years.
like perma scowl. He's like always looked angry,
And when
just
you're-
like Treadwell.
When you're a kid and you're riding in a sand pit on an 80 and you have Jerry Sipe coming up and ripping you a new one, you're kind of shitting bricks like, all right, I get it, I'll leave, you know? On the verge of crying.
Did you ever know about okay, how old would you have been in like 97, 98? Are you only like 10 at that point?
7, 8.
Yeah, too young, man. There was this gravy train called the Batman Forever Stunt Show at Six Flags Great Adventure. It was the gravy train for the local motocrossers. So I'm a pussy, so I did theater and plays and acting when I was in high school because I was looking for any excuse to talk in front of an audience. So you get your summer job. This will tie back into motocross. You get your summer job at either the boardwalk, you know, the shore, or Great Adventure. That's where you get your summer job. So I got the crap summer job at Great Adventure, working minimum wage, working like a candy store or whatever. And then I found out that if you had experience in theater, you could work like behind the scenes in like their stunt shows. Mm-hmm. And it was like a cake job. You would set up the lights and then chill out for 4 hours between the next show. So I got into the Batman stunt show, and it had all this stunt riding on like DR 350s with like Batman fairings. And one day I see these dudes, all the guys talking in the back, the actors, so to speak, and I piece it together. I'm like, dude, that's Jerry Sipe. And it was him and a bunch of like local fast dudes would do this during the week.
Really?
And I think they got paid $150 a show,
No
4
way.
shows a day.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Then they had
That's
to fight.
good money.
Yeah, dude, it was good money. They had to
Really
fight
good
on
money.
weekends over who like got off, who wasn't going to work weekends so they could go race.
Yeah.
John
Wow.
Schneider, remember him?
John Schneider.
John Schneider was before, I guess he was a hotshot 80 guy in Jersey.
No.
He had the gig too. And then I was like, oh my God, these guys know motocross? And then finally, I bridged the gap. I was doing the flagging on weekends, and I saw Jerry Sipe's like box van thing or whatever, and I was like, hey, and he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, dude, I'm into moto, man. I'm into moto. I'm a flagger here.
I'm a
It's like,
theater boy, but
I'm a theater boy, but I'm into moto.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed
That's
out on that
funny.
gravy train.
Dude,
It was like 3 years.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't.
You would
I
only
wouldn't
been
have
8 years
able-
old.
Yeah, there's no way I would have been able to swing that one. That's pretty cool, though. I never knew that.
Yeah. They needed guys that could do wheelies and jumps all day long on DR 350s with Batman stuff on the front. Yeah, it was awesome. Plus, Jerry playing like a villain, like Joker henchman, he fit the part. Like he looked like a bad guy.
They don't have to put much face paint on to
No.
fix that. You know, he's dialed.
He's gnarly.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is like, it was awesome to know that there were different pathways. Like if you weren't quite going to make it, you could still be the Treadwell type guy. Barry Carson was a different level because he did race Supercross a lot.
Yeah.
But there were these local guys who made their money. Dangler, Lee Rothstein, whoever.
Yeah,
you remember these guys?
I mean, those guys.
Ty Wallace.
Yeah, but back then, like, it was. I remember as a kid growing up, it was like seeing Carlo Cohen and Kerr McMillan, and
there you go, McMillan.
You know,
yep.
Like, it was weird. Like, Dowd and Henry, and a couple other fast pros would always come down to like my local track, Walden, and
okay.
Carlo Cohen and Barry and them used to like beat Doug Henry at a local race.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and I used to think like, oh my God, like that's unreal. I mean, at that time, you know, Doug was riding factory Yamaha, and they would beat Dowdy too, and I'm just like, dude, these guys are faster than the pros. You know, and I mean, I was, you know, obviously too young at that time to really notice, but yeah, I just...
Was it because it was just their track?
Yeah, Carlo at Walden was his home track, and he used to do schools there all the time, and, you know, it's not like he beat him by a mile, but he would hammer him, you know?
Wow.
And, yeah, I remember Doug saying, like, oh, no, this is good practice for me. Even though I lost, it helps me keep my intensity up. And I'm like, how does that even make sense? And me and my dad are looking at Doug like, fucking serious?
How are you getting beat?
Yeah, how are you getting beat by Carlo Cohen? But at that time, Carlo was still national number 69, you know, but he didn't do all the Supercrosses. And back then, having a national number, Barry was 31. Like, back then, that was gnarly to have a national number. Like, if you could get 12 points to get national number 90, yeah, you were a bad dude locally.
A bad dude.
You know? Yes. And now I think, like, you know, being national number 30 or 38 or 37, like, that's even out the window. Like, that doesn't even matter anymore.
No, Christian Craig is number 38.
Yeah, well,
He
no.
rides for Geico Honda.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, that seems like nothing nowadays.
Oh, like their level of respect?
Yeah, level of respect for a national number. Yeah,
okay.
Like, you know, but at a local level, like, people would think, man, that's so cool to have a national number.
Yes.
You know?
So there was this awesome connection where, like, your fast guys you knew would do a couple nationals also, which made your local track cool, and you were pumped on that. Now, look, like, I'll just throw an example, like, okay, Joey Savacci is originally from California, but he grew up in Georgia, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's not like if we had a race in Georgia, like we go to Atlanta, or that everybody's like, dude, I'm so pumped on Joey Savacci. I remember watching him grow up. Like, we're losing all of that. It's cool that Cooper Webb and McElrath really did ride Muddy Creek.
Yeah.
But we're losing that.
Because they're not coming from those areas anymore. You know, like, I don't know how you get that back.
I don't know how you get that back, but it's a big miss because it makes the local track less important.
Yeah,
and
no
then
one
maybe
wants
the local
to go
track
to,
shuts down.
No one wants to. No one wants to do it anymore. And like, I think now with like you know, with the social media and everything like that, like facilities look so big and so great, and you know, which they are really great in their, you know, certain ways, but there's certain types of kids that don't need to do that yet. You know, like there's plenty they can get from being at home and riding their own local track that they can figure out on their own first. You know, before trying to get to that next step. But I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Now, were you begging though? Were you pissed at your dad that you didn't get?
Oh, pissed. I used to fight him tooth and nail when I was a kid, between 13 and 16, to go to a training facility
and get out of school.
Because I wasn't the greatest student. You know, I was D's and C's, like getting by the skin of my teeth.
Oh, okay.
I even failed classes. Like, I'm not afraid to admit it. You know, because at that point in time, like, you know, I just met a friend from back home last night in Laguna, and it was just like, she was like, yeah, all you wanted to do was race dirt bikes from the time you were a kid to now. And I'm like, that's all I cared about. I didn't care if I was flunking out of school or whatever. Like, I just wanted to ride dirt bikes.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking you're like motocross genius because you just went straight up to public high school, but you're saying motocross genius is D's and C's.
Oh, yeah, for sure, D's and C's. Doing my homework last minute on the school bus, asking friends to cheat off of it. That's what I did. I didn't do any homework. By the time I got off the school bus, you know, and my school bus ride was long. It was like 45 minutes each way, so it really sucked. So by the time I got home, I was already limited. So I dropped a book bag and I'd get dressed and I'd ride till dark, eat dinner, and then I was tired. I never did schoolwork. My parents would always ask me, hey, you got homework? Fuck no, I don't have homework. Wake up in the morning, hop on the school bus, and my sisters would never rat me out for doing my homework on the school bus. But yeah, it's really lackluster when it would come to that stuff.
They made you stick with the school, but they weren't on you for the rest of it. No,
they were. There was one point, like, I had 7 motorcycles. This is before my dad was buying, like, I was still kind of on 50s, but I had a bunch of 60s.
Yeah.
And I had 180. Well, I was failing. Maybe I didn't have any 50s at that time because I was in 5th grade. Okay. And I remember like I was failing school. My teacher was calling, telling my dad, and my dad was so pissed. And my dad was school of hard fucking knocks. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I got my ass whooped a shit ton. But that's just the way it was. And until I started getting my grades up and passing, every week he sold a bike. And it took me almost like a month and a half to get my grades up. And
he didn't threaten, he just did it.
No,
he really did it.
No, he did it. I got down, I had 7 motorcycles. I got down, I had 2 motorcycles left.
And he would have sold those 2?
He would have sold them. Yeah.
Wow.
Until I pulled my head out of my ass, you know? But then it got to a point where it's just like, I was in 10th grade and Honda was giving me bikes and stuff. Like, he couldn't just sell my bikes anymore, you know? So it was like, sorry, dude.
Oh, you had the in.
Yeah, I had the
Bill
in.
Savino was bailing you out on your grades.
Dude, you know? Yeah. You can't take him away.
Was your dad a racer?
He was, but he sucked. He was never any good.
But he was into it. That's how this all started.
Yeah, that's how we got into it. So I got my first bike Christmas in '94, and then it was game over. My first ride was actually downstairs in my basement.
Indoors.
Yeah.
Oh,
because it was snowing.
Freezing.
I couldn't ride outside, but I wanted to ride it. You know, straight into the cement wall.
What was this? P-Dub?
PW50 with a pink seat. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, brand new.
Oh, the magenta pink.
Yeah, the magenta pink ones. Yeah. So it was. It's kind of a cool story. I mean, my dad loved it just as much as me. I think that's why he whooped my ass so much, just because he put it just as much into it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how it was. I wasn't the kid that if you got yelled at, you shut down. It was more the other way.
It fired you up.
It fired me up.
Oh, okay.
So, but now it's weird. In his old age, he's so much different now. Like I'll come back from a moto wherever at Millville, and I got aced. And I know I got tired and I'm pissed. He's like, oh man, that's a great job. You did sick. And I'm like, who the fuck were you watching out there, dude? If this was 10 years ago, you'd be ripping my ass a new one. Like completely ripping my ass. Not even 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
so
if you whole shot a national and you get 5th, he would have been super pissed. But now he's proud.
not super pissed, but like, if I would have went back to 9th, 10th, he would have been pissed. But 5th, he was okay because he knows the guys aren't not slouching. Yeah. He knows those guys are fast. So, it was, I don't know.
So you think your dad has gotten to the point somewhere where it's like, hey, my son made it, so to speak. He's on a team. He makes his living racing. He's top 5 or top 10 in the nation, whatever. Like, did he get to the point where it's like, he's good now? I don't need to.
Well, I think he got to the point where it's just like, the people in the teams kind of, that's their job. Yeah. Which, obviously, I think JGR with me was a little more lenient on stuff because I was already so hard on myself. But Husky, was actually kind of cool. They embraced it toward the end of my, end of the season, and they were just like, yeah, you suck. You know what I mean? And
what do you mean they embraced it?
Like, me being mad and like getting on the bandwagon of like, trying to fire you up to do better, which is, it's kind of cool, Which,
so it was good that when you said you sucked, they agreed with you.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. Because, I don't know. It's just weird. It's for me. That's the way it always worked when I was a kid. And then, and then I think kids that when you yell at them or they get yelled at, they shut down. And it's bad because I think they're Sallies. You know what I mean? They don't use that to get through it.
Yeah.
Like when my dad used to yell at me back home when I was a kid, and I would go up and I would then moto for as long as I could, just to try and prove a point, I mean, it's just the way it was.
So it was just that the Husky team was smart enough to be like, we know that's the button to press on film.
I think so, yeah. So that was kind of cool. And then
JGR just laughed at you, probably.
Yeah, they did.
They just laughed.
They did. But, I mean, there were still times, when I did suck, they did let me know, but just reverse psychology. It's weird how it works.
It's cool that they embraced that you thought you sucked.
Yeah.
I feel like that sums up your whole deal. I finally found a team to embrace that I suck.
Pretty much. I mean, listen, you've been doing it long enough. You know when you ride good and you know when you don't. Like I've had some awesome rides where I went from dead last to 11th. And I rode my balls off, and there's some rides where, I rode around and got 6th, and I kind of cherry picked it. You know what I mean? It's kind of, I don't know. it is what it is.
You know.
But yeah, it's cool. I'm happy how it all turned out, though.
You liked it? Yeah, you actually do like riding dirt bikes. As much as we make fun of you for being negative, you do actually like this.
No, I do. And like I said, right now I don't race till April in Canada, and I do enjoy going down and riding in 40-degree weather with the amateur kids at club.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with it because I'm riding it for fun at that point in time. So it's it's cool. And you got to remember that you do it for fun. It's kind of hard, because you get so wrapped up in trying to make money at it and make it worthwhile because of the risk versus reward factor. But
right.
Yeah, you just got to remember why you did it in the first.
Yes. See? Even Phil actually likes riding and racing dirt bikes. And even though his siblings went to college and had great careers, he does not regret what he has done. That's the positive side. On the other end, it's already clinched. We're not even into February, and I have my favorite quote of the year. No one is going to top this. Phil saying, "It's cool that they embraced that I thought I sucked." It's cool that they embraced that I thought I sucked. That's it. We're done. Shut it down. The next issue of RacerX Illustrated, instead of noise, the 2-page thing where we have all these quotes, we're just going to put that in giant 98-point font. It's cool that they embraced that I thought I sucked. Wow, Bobby Hewitt, everyone at Rockstar Husqvarna. Do they know how to press the right buttons? They are geniuses. Thanks to Phil for all that time. He had no choice. We were driving. And also thanks to the good folks at the National Emerald Club who let me negotiate for a better vehicle for the drive without having to pay extra for it, because that's what I do. You folks can save money if you go to racerxbrand.com, 20% off, type in exhaust in all capital letters. But buy the podcast shirt at full price. Champions such as Justin Brayton do it. Champions? Yeah, 3-time Australian Supercross champion. Take that. Also, go to Yoshimura. Yoshimura-rd.com. They got new exhaust systems rolling out. We mentioned over the last couple of months a custom system that makes the Works Edition Honda 450 even better than the exhaust from Yoshimura that comes on the bike. There's a head pipe that makes it even better. We mentioned new exhaust systems for the redesigned 2019 KTM and Huskies. They've got everything. So go to Yoshimura-rd.com. That's our title sponsor. Love that those folks hook us up all the time. Anything happen in the Supercross game lately that was interesting? Anything? Let's see. Justin Barcia wins the first race. Blake Baggett wins the second race. Cooper Webb wins race 3. And then no podium finishes for those guys in the other 2 races that they didn't win. I mean, Baggett has gone 12-1-15. Webb has gone 5-10-1. Barcia ended up getting 10th overall over the weekend, but that's only because with the Triple Crown format, him crashing out of the final event didn't count. I mean, he could have essentially gone 1-6 DNF for 22 this year. That's how wild this season has been. We love the wildness. We embrace the wildness. We like the unpredictability. I have many, many thoughts on Cooper Webb. It is absolutely fantastic to have Cooper Webb. They made Cooper Webb great again, and that is fantastic because we always want and need more contenders. When you have someone that knows that has the talent to do it, we all know Cooper Webb has the talent to do it. When you have someone that has the talent to do it, it's almost more frustrating because, again, we want more parity. You have someone out there that can bring that to the table. It has finally happened. So that is awesome for Cooper and awesome for the series. And we need Barcia. I hope he's okay. I hope Barcia can grind out some points here with a bruised tailbone in Oakland. We need Baggett to get back in form, and we need Webb to stay in form because we are already starting to lose contenders. Hopefully not Barcia, but the electric early season performance of Malcolm Stewart is now done thanks to a broken femur. And then we found out that Jason Anderson crashed on Monday. The most intriguing man so far this year, the defending series champ. Also, 2 bad races, 1 good one. What the heck was going on? We'll never know now because he's going to be out for quite some time. By the time he gets back, we'll only be thinking about the injury. I don't know if we'll ever find out what was up in these first 3 races for Anderson. But that's a genuine championship threat that's now out. So we need Webb and Barcia and Baggett to stay in it to keep this thing intriguing because as wild as it has been, keep in mind that Ken Roczen and Eli Tomac are first and second in points. These guys are not slouches. We can crow all we want about the experts were wrong. This series is unpredictable. Who would have thought we'd have Baggett, Barcia, and Webb winning? But Having Roczen and Tomac in front in points, it's not going to be easy to catch those guys. Newsflash, this just in, they're really good riders. So this is going to be interesting. And man, when Roczen finally wins one of these things, it is... the only way I could describe it is by having to use terms that I shouldn't use in a podcast. It's similar to the word that I was saying that Phil shouldn't use here. I mean, it is going to be a true climax when Roczen finally wins a Supercross again. So what a great season we still have. Really sucks that Anderson's out. Really sucks that Mookie's out. It will really suck if Barcia ends up not being able to race or losing ground. But we got to embrace these early moments, man. You just never know how long they're going to last. The beginning of every season is almost always awesome. The middle of every season almost always makes us say, man, what happened? So let's not get that again. That's Supercross in a nutshell. But I've already killed an hour with Phil in the car. Do you really want more? Oh, we did 5.5 hours on the Pulp Show. I think that's enough, Phil, for 1 week. Just ask him. He would agree. That's it for the Racer X Exhaust podcast this week. I'm not going to Oakland. I never go to Oakland. We save on travel money because we have people based on the West Coast, and I'm not able to buy a $600 plane ticket just to sit in the press box next to someone that's already there. So sorry, Oakland. I really enjoy the race. I've gone a couple times, and the dirt's awesome, and the track is usually really good. And the racing's, last year's best race of the year for sure. We might get that again this week. So stay tuned to Monster Energy Supercross, everyone. That's it. The Racer X Exhaust Podcast. I'm Jason Weigandt. See you next week.